Hey, how's it going, everyone? OutlawClient here, back once again for episode 3 of the weekly podcast zone. I think we're finally making some progress now, third episode in. Anyway, in the last few episodes, we spoke a bit about the PS5 and its Sony reveal event. Then after, we spoke a bit about Xbox and their July games showcase. And this week, we want to cover the Nintendo news. I mean, there hasn't been like a huge event like Sony and Microsoft, but this week we're going to be covering a bit of the news, just like the previous two companies. And with me today, once again, with his fresh, brand new microphone, we have TakuStar.
Yeah. Hi guys, yeah, I'm back. This time I got a microphone, so the audio should be a bit better going forward. Yeah. So you should be able to hear my voice a bit more clearer and stuff.
Definitely. As soon as he started speaking, straight away you could tell. I'm sure the viewers will be able to tell as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, so moving straight on to the games, the first topic that we decided to talk about was Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Now, this game kind of came out of nowhere. Like, honestly, it was just one day we didn't know about it. Next day, Nintendo just shadow dropped a trailer, kind of like with their mini directs and everything. So, kind of a surprise to us. But a lot of people were talking about this game potentially coming soon. We just weren't too sure what form it would be. But anyway, in the trailer, a very short one, Nintendo announced that Pikmin 3 Deluxe would be coming. And with Pikmin 3, it will not only have all of the features from the Wii U game, but it will also have additional modes such as Olimar and Louis' prologue and epilogue, alongside a co-op mode in which you'll be able to play with a friend throughout the entire campaign of Pikmin, which in my opinion is something that was sorely needed in the last games, especially with all the different captains and stuff there. Now, TakuStar, I know you said that you were saying that Pikmin 3 was one of your first Pikmin games. What do you think of this announcement?
I think it's. I'm happy that it's coming out, and obviously since the game came out on the Wii U, where the install base wasn't that big, it's definitely, and obviously now the Switch has got a much bigger install base than the Wii U had, so a lot more people will be able to play the game.
Yeah.
And as my first Pikmin experience, I thought it was a great game. Enjoyed the story, the mechanics. So I'm looking forward to. I don't know if I'll get it because I've already got the game anyway. Because like I said, remember I told you I got the game through the.
Very true, yeah.
Yeah, what was the thing Nintendo used to do with the?
It was like the Nintendo points, wasn't it? Like the Nintendo Gold points, and they offered like the games. Like if you like, in case you guys aren't aware, back in the Wii U days, the old days, I don't know if you guys remember that console, but back in the last console gen with the Wii U, when you open the games case, they used to have the Nintendo points, and you could scratch it out and then enter a code online, and you could like redeem code or redeem the coins. Funnily enough, actually, I remember I mentioned that to TakuStar because I was kind of lacking the stars at the time, and then when I told him, he had like a year's supply of points there. So not only could he get Pikmin 3, but he had a bit left over as well. But actually, funnily enough, I think Pikmin 3 was one of the first games that I got on the Wii U console. I can't remember if it was like a digital one that I could download, but either way, I'm in a similar boat to you. I did play this previously, but I'd probably say to anyone who hasn't picked up the Wii U version, I definitely think this is worth a try, definitely just because of the fact that it's like the previous game plus more as well. But going into some of those additional features that I was talking about, we had the co-op mode with Olimar and Louis. Now, I don't want to get too much into spoiler territory. I know Pikmin 3 Deluxe is actually coming on October the 30th, so I can imagine a lot of you might be, pretty eager to play the game, or maybe just want to try it out and go through the story. But the thing about the previous game is that there wasn't too much to do after you finish the story. Like, that was what was a big disappointment to me. I know TakuStar, I know you didn't try Pikmin 2, but back in Pikmin 2, and I can't remember if it was Pikmin 1, but definitely back in Pikmin 2, you could like go back and like after you finish the game, you'd get a golden ship in Pikmin 2, and then you could like continuously play like on the different levels, or sorry, the days after you finish the game. So I don't know what the limit was, but either way, you could just play it endlessly, and it was pretty fun. You could collect all the treasures and stuff. But I was really disappointed with Pikmin 3. Not to say it was a bad game, but I mean, it was something that I felt was sorely missing. TakuStar, actually, in terms of Pikmin 3, like, what was your experience like? Do you think there were any like features in that game that you thought were lacking? I mean, I know it's kind of difficult since you haven't played the previous Pikmin games. You can't really compare it, but anything you felt needed to be added?
I thought the only thing that I think like if they Oh, I don't know because I know Nintendo's also they have a Pikmin 4 in the works, so that's finished. They finished
True.
developing. So
Yeah.
I always thought Pikmin could because I don't know if you remember, but there was when the Wii U launched, there was a game called Nintendo Land.
Oh yes,
And
the way back,
yeah,
the Jurassic
yeah,
days.
yeah, and it had this Pikmin like mini game there, and you could like play co-op in the game.
Yeah, funnily enough, I think I played that at your house.
Yeah. So with the Pikmin series, obviously normally they haven't had any co-op gameplay in the story. So I thought I would have liked Pikmin 3 to have like some type of co-op play within the story itself. So maybe this is why I'm hoping that with Pikmin 4, which I don't know if it's going to come out on the Switch or whenever they release it, I'm hoping it has some co-op elements in it.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
And I think as well, maybe depending on the feedback for Pikmin 3's Deluxe's co-op, I'm sure Nintendo will be able to make a choice based on... Well, then again, like you said, it was finished already, or so they've claimed, or they announced that quite a while back, so I don't know what's happening. But either way, I'll be pretty surprised if there isn't, just because of the fact that the Switch itself is like a console that's, the two Joy-Cons, two players, so I'm pretty sure they will. But if they don't by some chance, then I'd say it's a hugely missed opportunity. But I'm definitely more optimistic on that. Actually, quickly as well, before I move to the next topic, also Olimar, there's like an extra section where Olimar talks about his diary, or pretty much his log of the different enemies. I think Nintendo mentioned that on their Twitter account as well. Nothing too major, but I mean, if you want to learn about the characters and all the enemies and why Olimar named them, then you got that extra mode there. All in all, as long as it's not Pikmin, hey Pikmin, I'm completely fine. Anyway, so TakuStar, anything else to add to Pikmin 3?
Yeah, I mean, good game. You should definitely give it a try if you haven't tried it out yet.
Yeah,
so
definitely. If you're a newcomer to the series, I definitely recommend it. Anyway, so moving on from Pikmin 3, there's more so moving into rumour territory. I mean, the fact is that next month will be Mario's 35th anniversary. However, a lot of talk or a lot of chatter in the industry and a lot of quite credible insiders have been talking about Super Mario, like an anniversary collection that would include Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and the Galaxy games. Well, I know Galaxy 1 was confirmed, but not sure if it was Galaxy 2. But either way, those three games would not only be coming back to Switch, but also remastered. Now, I'm kind of skeptical. I mean, guys, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. But I mean, there has been a lot of people with like a lot of credible insiders, as I mentioned, saying that this is definitely coming at some point. TakuStar, any thoughts on this one? I mean, I'm personally a little skeptical, but
yeah, I'm super skeptical with that one. Like, there hasn't been any. Normally, Nintendo would announce if they were working on a game earlier in the year to build hype and stuff. So we haven't really heard anything from them regarding Mario. Apart from the only Mario game we got this year was a Paper Mario.
Origami King,
Origami King, yeah. So I highly doubt it that they're gonna announce anything this year.
Same. And again, with like the COVID delays and stuff like that, like it just seems so like again, like I know that they shadow dropped Pikmin 3, but in a way that was kind of like a remake of an old game and so on. But these are brand new. These are system sellers. These will be huge holiday sellers. So I'd be very, very surprised. But I mean, I'm not going to be upset if they announce it. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm just going to say I'm not going to get my hopes up too high. But whether or not they do announce, whether or not this really is coming, and especially this year, are there any like major features you'd love to see? I mean, in my opinion, I think Mario 64 definitely the game that's by far in like most in need of a remaster or remake or something. Are there any lacking or missing features in some of these old games that you think are needed to be upgraded?
I think like you said, Mario 64. Yeah, the game's nearly like 20 years old. That's about as old as my little brother, I think. So 23 years old, yeah. So that's crazy as well.
We are old men. We are old men at this point.
So yeah, that game definitely needs a facelift. And I think Super Mario Sunshine as well. To some extent, I just feel like that's probably my favorite Mario game.
Yeah, same here.
Very,
but I think
it's very unique.
Exactly. I completely agree. No, sorry, I agree as well. I just think the fact that we even mentioned that, I think I can hear the subscriber count dropping already. But, no, I completely agree with you. I don't know if it's just our nostalgia playing up there, but for me personally, that was like one of my favorite in the 3D platforming series. But again, very mixed reception on that game. But
like what I was saying, I just feel like that game needs a facelift. Like considering, it came out on the GameCube, which is, I mean, if you look at Nintendo's like console units like sold, the GameCube didn't do that well, so not a lot of people played Mario Sunshine. Yeah. Unless if you're like a hardcore Nintendo fan. So it'd be kind of cool with the new generation of like kids playing on the Switch now, it'd be cool for them to play Mario Sunshine. And obviously I feel like because the game uses water a lot, it would be nice to see like those water effects like be used on the
water effects
on the Switch.
Yeah, definitely as well. Like, yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the game. I same as well. Like in terms of graphical overhaul, the water, and as you're saying, like since it's like a, not only set on the beach, but flood was the main like weapon of choice. Then we're just going to be seeing water all over. So the water effects, they need to be on point there. But although Super Mario Sunshine, in my opinion, it's a perfect game already. Mario greatness. Okay, maybe slight exaggeration, but I think some things needed to be changed. Like I think on some stages the camera got a little bit dodgy. One area in particular, I don't know if you remember the pachinko machine mini. It was like a mini game where you could one of the hidden pipe levels was like a pachinko mini game, and it was like so dodgy because you would. Man, even just talking about it, it's giving me PTSD. But
I think I remember having a similar situation with. There's a level when you're on a roller coaster and you have to shoot.
Yes.
You're trying to control the camera, and the camera's fighting against you. So, that's. I mean, obviously, to be honest, that was the second 3D Mario game. So, and obviously, 3D graphics and building games in 3D world was a new thing for a lot of developers. So, camera systems weren't that great. Like even try play Sonic Adventure on and the camera systems weren't the greatest.
Well, all too familiar with that one. Yeah, but as you were saying, 3D territory is still moderately new. I mean, like it wasn't a huge thing as it is like in today's world with hundreds of different platformers and stuff. So you can understand that there were errors there. But I mean, if there's any time for Nintendo to correct it, now is the time, especially on the Switch, such a popular console. Actually, I have to admit, this next game, Mario Galaxy, I can't talk too much because to this day I have not played Galaxy 1 or Galaxy 2, so I don't know too much about those games. But TakuStar, I mean, I've heard some things, but I mean, you personally, have you tried the Mario Galaxy game?
I haven't played the Galaxy. Remember, I told you, like, right. I didn't get the Wii because when I saw it was motion controllers and stuff, I said, I think I might be down with Nintendo because they're going down the casual route. That's why I missed out. I missed out on a lot of stuff, obviously, and I missed out on a game that we're going to talk about later on anyway. Yeah. And that because of that. Yeah. So any Nintendo game that came out around the Wii era, I didn't play until I got a Wii U, and then there was backwards compatibility, and then I got Kirby's Return to Dreamland. Kirby's Dreamland.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, so I played that. Yeah.
Okay then, that's understandable. Yeah, we apologize, guys. Like we're not exactly Mario pros here. Ask us about Sonic. We'll tell you any answer. But in terms of the Mario games, we there are a few gaps here and there. But just as a quick, I mean, I don't know too much about Galaxy myself, but quickly I know that there was like a pointer system as well, like where you a second player could control the Luma, the stars, and shoot star bits and stuff. Yeah. I'd just say it would be a bit hard. Well, actually, no. One thing I want to mention is that in Japan, I believe, with I think it was with the Wii. Was it the Wii U? Yeah, I think it might have been the Wii U. There was like a system where they could download or like stream games online, and one of the games, I think it was in China, one of the games was Mario Galaxy, and all of that was played like using the gamepad, so there wasn't like pointer controls. And all I'll say is that the starbit shooting feature was controlled using I think it was the right thumbstick. It wasn't, of course, it wasn't as accurate as pointing it at the screen with like a Wii remote, but just in case it does come to the Switch, I think maybe that might be a good workaround. But aside from that, I apologize, I can't speak too much else about it. Oh, actually, also before I forget, I was going to say, moving back to Mario 64, TakuStar, did you get to try any of the 3DS sorry, not 3DS, but just the normal DS Mario 64.
Yeah, early on I played Mario 64 DS early when the DS first came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had fun with that. Then I didn't play it, and I played a bit of the 2D ones they released. The ones they were training out around the Wii and DS.
Oh, of course, yeah, the new Super Mario Brothers ones, the 2D ones. You can't forget about that. And even Luigi had his own one. So,
yeah. So I played a bit of that, and then obviously I played Mario 3D World, and 3D World probably my second favorite 3D Mario game that I've played.
Yeah, 3D World was pretty strong. I mean, actually, speaking of ports and Pikmin, I think at this point it feels like it's only a matter of time before we see Mario 3D World come into the Switch. So,
remember when they initially dropped the trailer for that? How we felt the first trailer? Remember, we thought it was so lame.
That was kind of underwhelming. Like did they even show any power-ups at that point?
They didn't show any power-ups.
No power-ups, no nothing. We kind of just thought, this is just a run-of-the-mill Mario experience. And thought, maybe Nintendo got a little bit lazy there with this one. But by the next trailer, I was there apologizing.
Yeah,
so
trailer,
we can't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah. So I think not a remake, but a re-release for that would be welcomed as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what content they could add, because the game had everything basically. It
really did have a lot of stuff on, but again, Nintendo, they always keep on surprising us. So who knows what they'll come out with? Yeah, probably adding some deluxe features, just like Pikmin 3 and Mario Kart 8 and so on. But definitely a series I'm looking forward to. I don't think they announced. Did they announce any other games with the 35th anniversary collection? Because I think those were the main ones I heard. 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy.
Yeah, those are the ones I heard.
Yeah, same as well. I don't think I heard about Galaxy 2, but I mean, the more the merrier, I guess. More games, I wouldn't be upset. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, so moving on from the Mario anniversary. I mean, there's not too much else to add because it's kind of rumor and speculation at this point. But moving on to the next thing is something that's a lot more recent, and this is Zelda, The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword for Switch, which was put up right on our own soil here, Amazon UK listing. So it wasn't up for too long, but what happened is that Skyward Sword came up, and it was on Amazon as we think it was like a placeholder text, but it showed Skyward Sword for Switch, and it was retailing at £69.99, so £70 here. TakuStar, do you think that this could possibly, is it inevitable, Skyward Sword for Switch?
I think it was inevitable, because if you think about it, they've re-released a lot of the 3D Zelda games that have come out. So we've gotten a Wind Waker, we got Ocarina of Time remake.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time.
We've gotten a Majora's Mask remake.
Majora's Mask.
We've gotten a Wind Waker remake. We've gotten a Twilight Princess remake.
Yeah.
So now we're just waiting for Skyward Sword remake.
And even Link's Awakening as well, just the other day.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's crazy. So thinking about it now, I think like every 3D mainline Zelda game before Skyward Sword has already received its re-release. So I think it might just be a matter of time. But I was going to say, with Ocarina of Time, it came out on the DS. I believe it was on... Oh, was it 3? Yeah, the 3DS, sorry. It came out, I believe, in 2008, whereas the original game came out in 1998. Twilight Princess came out in 2006. The remake came out in 2016. So I'm thinking, Skyward Sword actually came out back in 2011, and next year is 2021. So, maybe we have that 10-year pattern or so.
Yeah.
Either way, even before this listing, Eiji Aonuma, back, I believe it was 2 years ago, back after a Zelda live concert or like a live orchestral concert, he was speaking in Japanese, but some of the translators there roughly translated it to, do you guys want to see Skyward Sword remake? And of course, I can imagine the crowd were just like, kind of confused at first, but a lot of them were saying, yeah, they wanted to see it. So it does seem like, even if this listing isn't correct, it does seem like it's inevitable just based on the previous games. However, though, I think one of the biggest hurdles that Nintendo would have to overcome is just the fact that the Switch itself, although it does have the Joy-Cons, it doesn't quite have the exact same Wii Motion Plus feature as the Nintendo Wii. So might be a few problems with this one. I'm not entirely sure how it could work. I was kind of thinking like maybe you could use the right stick for sword swinging and stuff. And when you think about like the fact that the Switch Lite, which can't actually go into console mode, like you'd have to accommodate for that console as well. I mean, what do you think, TakuStar? Do you think they would be able to get this to work, Switch?
So I think since the game's coming out on Switch, so what I was saying before, I initially didn't have a Wii, so because of stuff like the motion controls being a key point of these a lot of these Nintendo experiences on the Wii. So I'm happy that the game's coming out on the Switch, and obviously I've always wanted to play the Skyward Sword game. It's just like there was no opportunity for me to play it, and I wasn't going to fork out money to get a Wii.
Yeah,
so
you don't want to buy an entire console just for that single game. Which actually, then again, I'm probably the only madman that would probably do that, because I absolutely love that game. That was I go on and on about it all the time. I know TakuStar, I sound like a broken record to him at this point, but Skyward Sword, very very controversial opinion, but probably my favorite game, my favorite Zelda game, or Majora's Mask. But either way, it's definitely in my top 3 Zelda games. But
so now I was just saying, so I'm happy that the game's coming out. And I'm just hoping it plays like a traditional 3D Zelda game, so no funny business, no motion controls or anything like that. Okay. So I definitely looking forward. It's one of those games that, even though I haven't played it, I've always been strangely connected with it in a way, like the art style, how it's like a mixture between what we were saying the other day. It's a mixture between like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, where it's not too dark and it's not too cartoony, so it's just a perfect blend.
Yeah, it's got that fine balance, I think.
Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. And you were saying it's probably your second favorite Zelda game.
Probably my second favorite, first or second favorite. I mean, honestly, I without spoiling too much, because again, if there is a remake coming, I'm sure you guys want to play that and experience it for yourself the first time. But in my opinion, best sword play with the motion controls, which something I was not a believer of the motion controls before this game, but Skyward Sword made me a born-again motion controller user. But no, I thought the motion control was really good. Of course, you could pick up and like throw and roll bombs and stuff like that. Dungeon design, probably my favorite in the series. Just for later parts in the game. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, I just thought it was like the way they integrated it into later parts of the game. I thought it was really smart. And by far, my favorite part about this game has to be the music. It's like a pure, it's an orchestrated soundtrack. Easily my favorite out of the entire Zelda series, so no contest there. But either way, I'd say even if motion controls isn't your cup of tea, I think if it does, if the remake does come out, then I think you guys should at least try and experience it at some point. Especially if maybe Breath of the Wild is your first game and it's like you haven't experienced the traditional Zelda game. You want to go back and maybe a bit more linear. Of course, you can't just jump around and climb anything you want in the classic ones, but maybe if you go back and see the classic Zelda style, maybe you might like that, and hey, it might open up even more Zelda games for you to try in the future, or games that you'd be interested in trying. One other thing I wanted to point out as well is, because I mentioned with the motion controllers and stuff, it might not quite work like with the Wii, because I know with the Wii version, when you play the game, you have to sometimes you have to put the controller down, you have to face it in front of the Wii motion sensor bar to continuously recalibrate it if it went out of sync. And of course the Switch doesn't have something like that. One of the things I was thinking of was just the fact that with the Switch it doesn't have that motion sensor bar. The fact that they put the price for £70, $69.99 there. Me and TakuStar were talking a bit about possible peripherals coming out. Maybe it could play like a extension for like a Wii sensor bar or some type of peripheral. I don't know. What do you think, TakuStar? Do you think that could be possible, or have I gone a bit crazy?
Maybe you've gone a bit crazy. I don't know if they'd
no, I was hoping you wouldn't agree.
I don't know if they'll make. Maybe you're right. I don't know, but I'm gonna go with crazy. But just because I don't know if they'll just for one game if they'll do that. But I don't know if they have software in line to use that peripheral. You don't never know with these things. So
you never know.
At the moment, I just normally like playing devil's advocate. So I'd like to say no peripheral on the way.
I have to admit, I know we've seen, this is the same company that's released the Donkey Kong bongos,
Yeah, that's true.
A Wii steering wheel. But I mean, I think maybe gone are the days of the Nintendo peripheral for every console for every game, and maybe it is a bit crazy, but yeah, I thought it could even just be a placeholder price. So maybe it might be normal £50 retail price, or I think maybe $60 in US price. But either way, it could just be a blip in the system. Yeah, that was pretty much everything I can think of with this game. In terms of like changes that I'd want to see, again, like you were saying, I definitely want to see. I personally love the motion controls, but I kind of want to see a mode where it allows you to like use the traditional handheld controls, like the classic Zelda games and so on. And yeah, those are the main ones that I can think of without going into too much into spoiler territory. TakuStar, I know you didn't play the original game, but what do you think? Just the motion? I'm sure you definitely want to see the normal traditional controls, right?
Oh, of course, definitely. Yeah, I definitely just want to see. I want it to play as a like a original, like a traditional 3D Zelda game. Yeah, I'm because the game has a lot of hype and stuff like that. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing it. And obviously with because I'm using a Wind Waker HD remake as a point of reference. Because to me, till this day, that's probably the best looking Zelda game.
They really improved that one.
So I'm hoping that with this game being ported onto the Nintendo Switch, that it's sort of when it displays an art style similar to how Wind Waker was like when it got ported to the Wii U. So and hopefully it'll be running 60 frames per second.
Yes, 60 frames. Yeah. That is a must for me.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here. Really looking forward to it as well. Oh, and of course, I know we spoke about a bit about Wind Waker with this with the remake stuff. The speed sail. I think we need to have a speed loft wing, because in that game you fly around on a loft wing, and honestly, it's not quite as big as the Great Sea, but it is pretty expansive world that you fly around, and sometimes it can take ages to get from point A to point B. So, Nintendo, if you're listening to this podcast by some chance, please speed loft wing. Please, we need it. But yeah, that's about everything I can think about with Legend of Zelda. I know I love that game, so I know there's probably going to be like a ton of things I think about after, but I think we should leave it there before I end up running this podcast into the 2-hour mark or something along the lines of that. I can go on for ages. Anyway, so after Skyward Sword, there wasn't too much to talk about with Nintendo announcements recently, but back on the 18th of this month, there was an Indie World presentation. Now, TakuStar, did you get to watch some of these ones?
So yeah, I watched some of it.
Nice.
Yeah, there were some really good games there.
Yeah.
For me, I saw a lot of platformers, and which I'm quite, I like platformers a lot. So that was it was good, and it's good that we. Obviously, all the big companies nowadays, they're just making 3D games. No one's really making pixelated or sprite-based games. So it's nice that the indies sort of like cover that aspect.
Yeah. That's Nintendo leaving it to the indies, to the indies to fill out another genre, their 2D space. Yeah. I completely agree as well. I think this Direct had a lot. Like, usually, I'm not super excited for like indie directs. I always keep my expectation low, but I think this one was pretty solid. I think it had a good a solid range of games here. I know they're not like AAA titles, but I think some of them were pretty interesting. Now, starting off with the games, I don't mind going through some of the games, or particularly the ones that stood out for me, but starting things off, there was Supergiant Games' Hades, which is a game I believe was already on PC, but was going to be ported to Switch in fall 2020. Now, Hades was like the story of a guy who pretty much he was immortal. He keeps on dying and coming back, but it's kind of like I believe, do they call it like a MOBA? Like, I know the League of Legends style games, well, it's kind of like a top-down view, and you fight through, and not the type of games that I'm really that into playing, but I think it looked decent. I'm sure fans of that genre will look for that to play, or possibly be quite excited because it is a relatively big title. What do you think, TakuStar? Any thoughts on Hades?
It's just because obviously this is by the same developers as I think they done Bastion and Transistor.
Ah, right, nice.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, the game looked cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really interested.
Yeah, that makes two of
yeah,
us.
yeah. So I'm sure, and it's more. I think it looked like a dungeon crawler. So yeah, I mean, it looks cool. If you're like a dungeon crawler fanatic, there's definitely because those two games, like I mentioned before, Bastion and Transistor, those are really two good games that I played on the, on Xbox 360 and PS4. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot about it, but I personally haven't experienced those games. But no, I have heard good things about that. So, yeah, definitely something I wanna check out. Or I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but I'll definitely pick it up if it comes into my recommendation list. I might give it a look. Anyway, so after that we had Hypnospace Outlaw. That was by the team called No More Robots, which is coming out on the 27th. And this game looked kind of very, very interesting. It's like we've gone back to the 90s again with our internet, and it had like a really basic art style to it. I believe it was just. I'm trying to remember what the actual premise of the game was. I mean, I just remember thinking, oh, what is going on? It looks really.
It says here it says in the 90s, internet simulator players will scour a wide variety of websites, add useful downloads to their desktop, dodge computer viruses, and hunt down virtual villains as an enforcer in Hypnospace Patrol Department.
Oh wow! So it truly is the 90s. It is truly a game of the 90s.
Yeah,
we've gone back in time here. Yeah, so pretty interesting. I mean, I don't think I'll try this one out, but it looked it had a unique style. I mean, you'll probably be hearing me saying that a lot throughout this Indies presentation, but I didn't really have too much else to say about this game. What do you think, TakuStar? A day one purchase for you?
Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, same here. But anyway, moving on to the next game, we have Thunder Lotus's Spiritfarer, a game that actually released on the same day that it was announced, or the same day that it appeared in this direct. And this game, gameplay-wise, I don't know if I'd be too interested, but after seeing that intro, I kind of want a cartoon. I kind of want a Spiritfarer cartoon series or something, because the animation looked pretty stunning. Pretty interesting game. I think the premise was that you play as a character, or this girl who has to show, I believe, like these range of animal people. They have all their different troubles, but pretty much trying to fill their wills before they pass on to the other realm, or whatever you want to call it, the spirit realm, I guess. Quite interesting. I know you could like customize your ship and gather materials and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a base customization thing, but it looked interesting. I think maybe not on my day one buy list. Well, of course, it's already past it at this point, but maybe I'll pick it up when I see a sale or something. What do you think, TakuStar? Did this one grab your?
Not really. Nah.
Yeah. I wasn't a huge Spiritfarer guy, but I thought it at least looked pretty good. Like
the animation looked really good, but it just didn't suck me in.
Yeah, same as well. I mean, I know it's about dying and stuff, but I've been hearing a lot of people saying that it's not a really depressing game. I think I've heard people, or a word that I've heard a lot about this game is comfy. So, a comfortable game, not too depressing. So maybe if you're into that type of stuff, it might be the game for you. Anyway, so after Spiritfarer, we have Garden Story from Pikmin. Yeah, Garden Story. So another simulator style game. It looks like you, like a 2D pixel art style top-down view, and honestly for me this one kind of screamed Animal Crossing. I think maybe they saw, well, I know the game's probably been in development for quite some time, but I mean I was going to say they probably saw as well the success of Animal Crossing, and of course during this time as well in lockdown. But again, like I said, it's probably been in development for a long time, but either way, pretty much about growing communities and farming. It looks like similar mini games as well, fishing, interacting with other villagers and so on. What do you think, TakuStar? Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, the game looks adorable. I'd probably give it a shot. Anyway, that's just me. Anyway, it looks interesting. So it's got a cute art style. I like the characters, how they look. Seems like it reminds me a bit of, I don't know if you've ever played
Harvest Moon.
Not Harvest Moon, but I was gonna say Stardew Valley.
Yeah,
But,
of course. Yeah, Stardew
yeah,
Valley as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
it reminds me of that. So yeah, I would definitely pick it up.
Yeah.
I wonder how much it is online. I gotta check. Hope
Not
it's
too
cheap.
sure. Not too sure, but it's actually coming out in 2021. So
Okay.
not with us quite yet, but we'll be seeing it.
Yeah, I don't mind waiting since I played a bit of your first Stardew Valley, and that was a really good game.
Yeah, once again, I haven't played it personally, but it's just one of those things that I've heard really good, like nothing but good words about the game. So I might give it a try. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so next up we had Subnautica. So not only was there Subnautica, the first one, but there was also the sequel Below Zero, which will be coming out. And this is kind of like a underwater exploration game. Again, I haven't played Subnautica myself. I know it's been on previous consoles already, and this is kind of like a Switch port. But I have to admit, it looks interesting, but after I played Twilight Princess, like Lakebed Temple, seeing giant creatures underwater, I'm a changed man. I don't know if I can go back underwater again in these games. Again, like I was saying, 2 games for 1, so that'd be pretty cool. You could try both, but I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one. What do you think, TakuStar?
Concept is cool. I don't like water, as in I don't like swimming. So
That makes 2 of us.
yeah, I don't really like a lot of water levels or in games apart from Hydro City Zone.
Hydro City, yeah. Definitely stand out in my opinion.
Yeah. So I'm probably not gonna give this one a try. And I mean, it's cool that there's 2 games coming up, but just for me, from my own personal standpoint of view, not really a water guy. But I do take my showers and stuff, so I don't want people.
Yeah. No, okay. Another thing I can agree with you there.
Yeah.
I'm also in that same boat as well. But so Subnautica again. Planet exploration. It shows a bit of overground as well, a bit of land exploration, but I think it is mostly based on the name as well, mostly underwater exploration. So yeah, and a bit of base customization there as well. So if you like that type of stuff, that will be right up your alley. And of course, that one's coming in early 2021. Yeah, so it's not quite with us yet. Anyway, so moving on to the next game, we had Oink Games Takeshi and Hiroshi. Well, I know TakuStar, actually, I remember you were saying this was one of the most interesting games for you. So
yeah,
let's talk a bit about this one.
Yeah, I just thought this game was it just looked. I liked the art style of using play motion, and the story is quite endearing. It's about a guy who's making a game for his little brother, so he has to keep updating the game for his little brother who's sick, I think, in the hospital or something like that.
Yeah, it looked like sick.
Yeah. So yeah, like the story itself just captured me anyway. So and obviously I've got a little brother as well, so that was that hit home as well.
Yeah, Nintendo pulling on those heartstrings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just, and obviously it's got JRPG elements in it. And I'm a big JRPG fan, so it looked cool.
Yeah, no, exactly the same here. Like, I mean, I'm not as big of an RPG fan as you. I'm sure the listeners will come to know that in some of the future episodes as well. I'm an absolute RPG noob. I mean, I've experienced a bit of Pokemon, so I can't say I don't know anything, but I'm definitely not a veteran. But no, I think as well, the claymation on this game looked really good. I can imagine those are going to be the cutscenes, and it's going to be mixed in with that 2D RPG gameplay, which on the surface it doesn't look too complex, but not too complex, so maybe it would be a good starting point for me again with RPGs, or getting back into the modern RPGs. But I agree as well. One of the most interesting art styles, I think. You don't see claymation too often, so it was a bit of a breath of fresh air. But anyway, Takeshi and Hiroshi is actually already out. It released on the same day that the showcase was announced, which was 18th of August. So yeah, you guys want to try out Takeshi and Hiroshi, go to the eShop and download it right now. Anyway, so moving on, we had the next game, which was Raji, an ancient epic. I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Raji or Raji, an ancient epic? Anyway, this game this is from Nodding Head Games, and honestly, this was probably one of the biggest, not quite the biggest game announcement for me. I'll get to that one in a second, but this one was up there for me. Like, it showed quite a lot of exploration, and it kind of reminded me a lot of like a Prince of Persia meets Zelda type experience. Like, I know it was kind of like an Indian folk tale, or a lot of the folk tales and stories and stuff. And again, it showed like the main character, she got like upgrades like bows and stuff like that. But very like visuals looked really nice. Looked like a huge exploration. The boss designs looked pretty interesting as well. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think about this one, TakuStar?
The game, it was unique. I haven't seen a game like that uses a lot of Indian mythology in it. It was reminded me a lot of Prince of Persia, Zelda. It's cool, play as a female protagonist as well.
Yeah, that's true. You don't see it too often.
Yeah, so that's a plus. And it's just nice to get like an action game that's a bit different to what we normally get on the market, which is like games that use a lot of like Western concepts. So this is using like Indian folklore in it as a basis. So one of the like interesting games in the showcase.
Definitely, yeah, I agree as well. And actually, just to talk about it, I think maybe more accurately would be like Prince of Persia meets God of War, because the whole mythology thing as well. Not quite the same mythology, but I was just getting that feel as well. But anyway, an epic.
I've got like a near feeling as well.
Oh, near as well. Oh man, you know what? I still need to try that game out. I know you lent it to me at one point, and I just didn't get around to touching it, so I can't really talk about it there. But yeah, no, really cool art style in my opinion.
There's a re-release coming of Nier, so you should definitely of the first one.
Oh really? Is it 3?
I think it's Xbox One and PS4, I think.
Oh, nice. Now I've got no excuse now.
No excuse.
But anyway, Raji, an Ancient Epic is coming out, or actually it's already out, as it was released on the 18th of August, as soon as the Direct was aired, or just after, I believe. Anyway, so moving on from an Ancient Epic, we have Bear and Breakfast. This one was from Gummy Cat Studio, and interesting art style here, 2D style, and it kind of seems like a hotel simulator type game where you can customize your rooms, place furniture, I guess just invite guests over and pretty much try and make the best hotel possible. I'm personally not into this type of thing. Like it's kind of like an Animal Crossing, I guess, Happy Home Designer, with a little bit of Sims on the side, where you can get people in. But later on in the trailer, you see certain other elements as well. Like there was a bit of exploration. There was like a fox that you interacted with. So maybe it's not just going to take place in the hotel, but I believe that was the main part of the game. What do you think, TakuStar?
Wasn't impressed.
Not at all.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was not a game for me, but
yeah,
it shows some variety there. If you're interested in this type of like hotel designing and stuff like that, then yeah, once again, maybe it will appeal to you. But yeah, same here. I can't see myself going near this game, but it's interesting. I'm sure it will have its people that it appeals to. Okay, so next up we have a short hike, and for a second when I saw this one, I got a little bit confused, thinking that the 3DS games were being ported over to the Switch. But in actual fact, I believe this game, I believe it has appeared before on on another console. I'm not entirely sure which console, but I believe this is just the Switch port edition. But anyway, this was a game from Whippoorwill Limited. I assure you guys, I'm not having a stroke now. It's Whippoorwill. That's it, Whippoorwill. But yeah, it's called A Short Hike, and I didn't know. Like, I honestly hadn't heard about this game at all. I only realized that it was on previous platforms after I'd seen this presentation. But I think some fans were asking for this one to be ported for a while, so I think it does have its following. But it seemed like it's like an exploration type game. I got a bit of Breath of the Wild vibes, because there was a bit of climbing, and there was like soaring as well, a bit of flying. So it looks like more of an exploration game. This penguin's journey to different lands and friends that you meet along the way, I guess. Definitely not my type of game, but I mean, TakuStar, any more luck with you?
It looks nice. Not sure if I'll pick it up, but yeah, I sort of got Animal Crossing vibes from it too. How like there's different like characters that are animal based as well, and just like the look of the world as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Same type of overhead view and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Short Hike, also another one of the games that released on the exact same day. Oh, and I forgot to mention as well, Bear and Breakfast is a 2021 release. So if you're itching to get your hands on Bear and Breakfast, you're gonna have to wait until next year, guys, because not quite ready yet. But anyway, after a short hike, this game was probably my personal favorite of the show, to be honest. Quite an interesting concept, and this was Card Shark. So not only, I mean, I'm personally not someone who plays many card games. I barely even know how to play most of them, other than a bit of Go Fish. I'm fine with that one. But apart from the basic card game, it was a bit buzzing on my end. Anyway, guys, sorry, I interrupted that glorious Card Shark intro. But anyway, like I was saying, Card Shark was quite an interesting game because not only do you just play card games, but it's also a game specifically about cheating your way up in order to get to higher stakes or higher stake matches and so on. Yeah, we even got a little explanation from the developer who showed us a card trick as well mid gameplay sequence. But yeah, definitely a game. Well, he mentioned as well about how they would teach us some actual card skills throughout the game as well. So hopefully we will get to see some of those card skills. Hopefully we get to learn a few things after we play this game, even though it's not coming out for now. But I mean, TakuStar, were you quite as enthusiastic as me for this game, or how did you feel?
Nah, I wasn't as enthusiastic at all. Just reminds me of Vegas and how much money I left. So I'd rather.
Oh no!
I'd rather not. Yeah.
Yes, the PTS. Well, okay, that's a warning, guys. If you like gambling, if you've lost a ton of money like TakuStar here, then just stay well away from this game because it might bring back some previous trauma.
Yeah, haven't recovered.
Oh no. But yeah, like I was saying, again, I found this one quite interesting. I mean, the art style as well. It's kind of like a 2D. Not the most impressive animation in this 2D art style, but I just found the concept itself to be really interesting, and just the whole cheating your way up. It's not something you hear about too often in video games, but it seemed quite interesting to me. And the developer as well, as I was saying, he mentioned his card tricks where he managed to transform everything into aces. So maybe we'll pick up some skills after that then. But apart from that, I haven't got too much else to say. It's not out until 2021, so we won't be able to. I think Nereal Studio, of course, still putting some polish onto this game. So, yeah. But I mean, apart from that, TakuStar, anything else you want to add?
No.
Not too much. Yeah. There wasn't really too much else to say as well. I mean, we only got short previews of this game, but yeah, hopefully it will live up to expectations or live up to the hype that it gave me. Anyway. So moving on from Card Shark, we have, I believe this game is quite popular. It has its fan base, and that is Torchlight 3. Now, I'm going to have to say, I honestly know next to nothing about Torchlight, other than the fact that it's like a top-down view, and it's kind of like I believe like a League of Legends style game. TakuStar, do you know any more than me about Torchlight?
I think I know just about the same as you do.
Yeah, I apologize, guys, but I mean, if you're fans of Torchlight, I'm sure you already know a lot more than us. But again, this is a game that's already been on previous consoles, so it's just being ported to the Switch. So even if I didn't know, I probably wouldn't be too much else to say. But again, Torchlight 3 coming fall 2020. So yeah, something for you guys to look forward to if you're into that. Oh, actually, before I do go on, I was going to say there was also the Switch exclusive features. Well, I believe they added like the animal. They're like animal companions, like a golden retriever, an alpaca, and an owl. And also for Switch players, if you pre-order the game, or if you get it on Switch, I think it was a pre-order bonus. But either way, if you get the game early, then they'll give you a fairy pet. So look no further. Anyway, so moving on from Torchlight 3, we have another game actually that caught my attention. I was actually really interested about this one, and this is Manifold Garden. Now, this is kind of like an optical illusion puzzle game, very, very trippy, so I hope you haven't been drinking before this, or doing anything a bit... that's... But anyway, Manifold Garden looked very trippy, and it was like an optical illusion style puzzle game where you have to adjust your camera angle, think like Portal, moving cubes and stuff like that, but the big takeaway from here is just the fact that you can traverse such a huge world which wouldn't be out of place in a painting. It's just very, very trippy. It has been on other consoles. I believe it's also on Xbox and PlayStation as well, but Xbox and PS4 as well. So you can get it on a number of different platforms, but this was its Switch debut. So if you want to try that out, I mean, again, it actually came out on the 18th of August, so it definitely available to pick up immediately. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I probably will pick it up eventually, but once I get time to get through my huge library. How about you, TakuStar? Did this game grab your attention?
Yeah, the art style.
Oh yeah,
looks cool. It's a puzzle game. I like puzzle games. So that fused the puzzle aspect and the art style as well. It's definitely something that piqued my interest during watching the showcase.
Same here. It was definitely one of the standout games. It wasn't quite a Card Shark level for me, but it definitely did pique my interest as well, and I like the art style. And yeah, as I was saying, it's already out, so you can pick that one up in the eShop already, and also on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Anyway, next up we had Evergate. Now, when I first started watching this one as well, I got a bit confused. I was like, am I watching Ori and the Blind Forest? Have Switch put a sequel or something out? But nope, this one was Evergate by Stone Lantern Games. And this game, again, like I was saying, it looked like it had an art style that was inspired by Ori, and it's also a platformer as well. But I believe the big takeaway, or like the main mechanic, was like platforming, of course, but it was kind of like you're in an afterlife, or you play as Key and you're trying to navigate your way through the afterlife. There were like a few suspended platforms and like things that you could like jump across, and that seems to be the main mechanic of the game, but again, we didn't get to see too much of it. TakuStar, thoughts on this one?
I wasn't impressed. Didn't like the art style.
Not too impressed.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm happy that's another platformer that's on. Yeah. I think it's just the art style that just put me off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sorry, quick question. I was going to say, what do you think of Ori and Ori?
I've never played Ori, and I don't like the art style of Ori.
Oh, you're not a fan either? Yeah. So that's the thing I was going to say, actually. If you're not a fan of Ori, then you're most probably not going to be a fan of this game as well, at least the art style. So yeah, and also as well, not only the art style, but the music, the score as well. It kind of had a Ori feel to it as well. Yeah, so again, if you aren't a fan of Ori and like Will o' the Wisps and the Blind Forest and so on, then I think you should probably stay well away from this game, like TakuStar. But I think it was interesting. I think it was like a nice
no, the game did. I don't want people thinking I hate the game. Personally, like if I'm playing a platform, I want it like I like an adrenaline-esque platform. I don't like. Yeah, it just looked too Ori and the Blind Forest. And the music as well wasn't hitting me to where like I'd should. Yeah. But by no means the game looks polished and it looks like a well-made game. It just didn't hit me where I needed it to hit me.
Understandable. Yeah, it's just a game that wasn't your cup of tea. I might try it out, but then again, I said that like 1,000 times for the Ori games, and I have yet to play through an Ori game to this day. So maybe I'll check it out if I see a huge discount and I'm itching to buy a game. But for now, I think I'll probably won't be going too close to it. But again, Evergate was also one of those games that released on the same day as the presentation. So if you want to go try it out, then you can pick it up now already on the eShop. Now, moving on, that was like the last real individual announcement, because the next one was just like a compilation, like a reel of different games. So I won't spend too long on these games because these were really, really short clips. So anyway, there was I believe it was Haven. I don't know how should I do this format, because the games were just so quick and it was like very small amount of games.
You can just talk about the ones you liked. I think.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't want to diss any of these developers. I mean, they put a lot of hard work into it, but I have to admit, not many of these games really pulled my attention. Well, actually, I was going to say, thinking about it, there was one, I believe it was INMOST, which looked quite interesting. It kind of, I don't know if I'm making the right comparison here, but the scenery kind of reminded me a little bit of Limbo. Like, the boy and like the outline, but it seemed more action based. That was pretty cool from what we saw, and we didn't really see too much of it again, but it looked interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best game that was showed in that little reel they showed at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked interesting. Obviously, I like pixel art, so yeah, it's definitely something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that makes two of us as well. That was one of the ones that pulled me in the most. Actually, there was another one as well called She Dreams Elsewhere, which it looked a lot like Mother, or AKA Earthbound. Didn't look identical, but it looked like it was inspired, like in terms of like the battle format, and even like the overworld exploration, and I don't know, maybe dare I say Undertale as well, like a little bit of Undertale. But then again, I know Undertale was inspired by Mother and the Earthbound series, so I guess I could just say that. But no, that looked quite interesting. I haven't fully played through any Mother games, so I don't know if I'll end up finishing all of this one. But no, it looked like an interesting game. What do you think, TakuStar? Did you see any of that one? Or are you a fan of the Earthbound series? Or have you tried it?
I've never played the Earthbound series. I'd like to, but yeah, I just haven't had the chance yet.
Yeah, I've played like maybe an hour, if that. So yeah, but not to say they're bad games. It's just I didn't get much time to play it. And I think it was around the time that I was studying. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was She Dreams Elsewhere. There's also there was Grindstone. It looked like a interesting puzzle game, but I don't think I'll be picking that one up. And then there was like, I think it was Gonna 2 to end off the showcase reel. Any other games that pulled your attention, TakuStar?
I think that's it.
Yeah, same here. Those were the only two that pulled my attention, and even then, I don't know if they'd be day one buys for me. So, yeah, but they looked okay. It looked like a solid lineup. But again, I don't want to knock any of these indie developers because I can imagine they've put in a ton of effort on these games. But anyway, not ending on the showcase reel or finishing up the showcase reel. It wasn't quite over yet. Everyone was finished. Everyone was packing up their stuff, leaving. But then, from nowhere, we heard a honk, which signified a very, very, a game that a lot of fans hold dear to their heart. And that was Untitled Goose Game, the 2-player update that they've added. And I should add as well that it's also a free 2-player update. Now, this one is coming on September the 23rd, and it also has a physical copy for the game as well. But personally, I have not played, I have not booted up, I haven't even thought about downloading Untitled Goose Game, to be honest. Not because I dislike it, but it's just because I just have not thought. Like, there's so many other games that I was playing at the time, but I know it's quite a big game for fans. I mean, TakuStar, have you had any experience with Untitled Goose Game?
No, I've just heard it was a big game. I don't know, this year or last year that a lot of people played. So yeah, I've just heard it's a stealth game where you play as a goose, terrorizing people and stuff. So
yeah, Metal Gear Goose, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, 2-player update, so maybe, I don't know, maybe we haven't got an excuse now. Maybe we both have to play it if there's an online feature, but I don't know, jokes aside, I don't know if I'll try out Untitled Goose Game. But again, I know it's got a lot of fans, and we can't argue with free. So if you already have Untitled Goose Game, you want to go through it again, but you wanted to play, maybe your friend was sitting there backseat gaming before, shouting at you, telling you what to do, but now you can bring a friend in and laugh at them in their face if they mess anything up. So more options there for Untitled Goose Game fans, and as I was saying, you can't argue with free. And that will be coming out on September the 23rd alongside a physical copy for Untitled Goose Game. So that's pretty much it for Untitled Goose Game. But not only Untitled Goose Game, but that was pretty much all of the indie world. I can't think of anything else that I missed, but
we were going to talk about the mini direct that Nintendo done as well.
Oh yes, the mini direct actually. But in terms of like the indie world, I think that was all of the indie world stuff that we touched on. But overall, like I was saying, I think 20 games in total, so good number of games. Of course, some reports, not all brand new, but yeah, I just think in general it was a solid lineup of games, and I'd definitely be picking up a few of them when they arrive. Anyway, as TakuStar mentioned before, there's also the mini direct, which of course I know there were tons and tons of fans for this one. So back in, I believe, was it
July?
Yeah, the start of, sometime in July, there was like a mini direct, and Nintendo, they did announce it, but they did tell us to temper our expectations because it was only going to be a showcase for third-party companies, and there wouldn't be any huge AAA announcements. But much like many Nintendo fans starved of a direct, many people went in there with very high expectations and were very disappointed. Although there was one game that I can imagine got a lot of fans hyped, but I'll get to that one near the end. But anyway, starting things off, the first game that they showcased was the Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer, which featured a bit more Legend of Zelda add-ons. So first of all, I believe they had like an extension where you played as Skull Kid. Of course, you would have like the different masks, or yeah, that was DLC Pack 3, known as Symphony of the Mask, where Skull Kid will have access to the other masks. Actually, first of all, in case you guys haven't played Cadence of Hyrule, it's like a rhythm game. Personally, I haven't played it myself, but it's like a well-received rhythm game, and of course, they managed to get rights from Nintendo to use the Zelda IP in this one. But anyway. Like I was saying with the DLC, you get to play as Skull Kid, trying on the different masks and pretty much using it to progress. And also the second DLC pack where you'd play as Impa, I believe, in the Melody pack. And I believe you just use the different songs in order to progress. But anyway, as I said, I'm not too familiar with Cadence of Hyrule, but I know there are a lot of fans that love this game and pretty much just the rhythm and Zelda franchise in general. So, how about you, TakuStar? Do you have much experience with Cadence of Hyrule?
I don't know much about the game. All I know is it was an indie game that they managed to. It was an indie studio that managed to get the rights to use the Zelda IP, and it's pretty big with the Zelda community, and that's all I know about the game. Yeah.
Same as well. Same. I don't know too much else other than that. But honestly, I know I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but I just can't believe the fact that Nintendo allowed them to use that IP, because with Nintendo, you know that they're like really, you rarely ever hear about them lending out their first like AAA IPs to other developers. I think the only one I can remember in recent memory is Starlink with Star Fox. Ubisoft got the rights to use Star Fox, but again, Ubisoft, they're a massive company, and this isn't, the fact that they're indie developers just makes it even more surprising in my opinion. But yeah, aside from that, not too much else to say. I don't think there was really too much else to mention about Cadence of Hyrule, but looked like a solid game, and I can imagine a lot of fans will be excited for that. Anyway, next up we had another, or I know TakuStar's favorite genre. If you've seen the previous directs, of course he loves his shooting games. So for the second game, we have Rogue Company. No, jokes aside, I know TakuStar, you're not the biggest shooter fan. Any thoughts on Rogue Company? Me personally, I wasn't super hyped for it. It seemed like a similar, like another arena shooter, and yeah, I don't know. Anything else do you have to add to this one?
Nah, me and you, bro. I just feel exactly how you do regarding that.
Yeah. Personally, I wasn't too impressed by this one. It was just like another multiplayer third-person shooter. So don't have too much to say about Rogue Company, and yeah, I'm not entirely sure the release date as well. Is it out already? But either way, Rogue Company was the second game, and not one that we're super hyped for personally. Anyway, but one game that we can be hyped for, of course, is WWE 2K Battlegrounds, rather.
Most definitely.
So, once again, like with Rogue Company, well, even less than Rogue Company, I know absolutely nothing about wrestling. All I know is that in this preview, there were a bunch of wrestlers who were getting a little bit too excited for my liking. I don't know, wrestling fans, I think you might have to tell us in the comments what you think about this one, because me personally, you're not going to get too much out of me of this one. I was not impressed at all. I am not going near this game. TakuStar, are you a wrestling fan? Or
when I was a kid, I was, not anymore.
No, I think even then you have the one up on me, because even as a kid, I don't think I've watched a single...
Oh, wow.
I've ever watched a single wrestling. Yeah, never watched one. I think I had one for PS1. And I think
SmackDown, was it the SmackDown games?
It must have been WWE SmackDown, or I think during that time it was called WWF SmackDown or something like that. I think it was a very long time ago. But either way, I didn't even get as far as putting the disc into the PS1, because it was. I think my dad used to play PS1 games as well, and he just had a ton of them. So, but honestly, I cannot say anything. I mean, the description brawl it out with over-the-top moves in an outlandish environment. I think I'll let I'll let the detailed explanation speak for itself there, because I've certainly got nothing else to add to that one. Anyway, well, this one, I think there will be fans, unlike the previous ones. I think there will be a huge fan base who got very excited for this game, and this one is Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. And TakuStar, I think you'll have to take this one from here, because apart from the title, I know absolutely nothing about Shin Megami Tensei. So if you'd like to do the honors.
Yeah, so I've actually never played a Shin Megami Tensei game, but I know of Shin Megami Tensei as the series that sort of birthed the Persona series, which is its own thing now. But yeah, so this is a game that actually previously came out on PS2 back in the day. So the Shin Megami Tensei series is a JRPG where you go around doing like typical JRPG stuff, dungeons, and getting new items and stuff like that. So in the Shin Megami Tensei games, you collect, or you try and negotiate with demons that you catch, and then try to bring them on your side and stuff like that.
Oh, so
and yeah, so this one actually came out previously on the PS2, so it's nice that this one's coming out, because I've actually never played. I've always wanted to play this one because it actually had Dante in the game.
Yes,
Dante, yeah, Dante from
DLC. Was it DLC or?
Yeah, it was DLC. I don't know if it was DLC, but he was in the game.
Oh,
but
right.
he'll be in this one as well. So yeah, and obviously me and you. We like DMC, we like Devil May Cry games. So
I do like my my hack and slash style games.
Yeah.
I have to admit.
So Sorry,
I was just gonna say I'm not super familiar. Like, I've played a bit of DMC 4. I actually have not gotten around to playing 5 yet, to be honest. But I will get it. I mean, that genre is amongst my favorite, like, all-time genres. So definitely. But yeah, no, interesting. I actually, thinking of when you mentioned Shin Megami Tensei being a Persona spin-off, I do remember in Smash.
No, it's the other way around. Persona's a Shin Megami Tensei spin-off.
Persona. Oh, right. Sorry,
Yeah.
Persona's a spin-off. All right. Yeah, it's a similar premise, isn't it? Like with the Persona. Well, okay then. But I was gonna say, actually, I remember in Smash Brothers when the Shin Megami Tensei fans were outraged when Joker was announced because he was seen as the spin-off. So
yeah, that's the thing now. Like, with the Persona series so massive now, like, and obviously that's how I got into the series with Persona. So the Shin Megami Tensei hardcore fans, they like really hate that Persona's like become bigger than the series that it was birthed from. So I could imagine when Joker got announced, everyone was losing their heads.
And I can say it probably didn't help as well that a lot of leakers were saying that that it was going to be like a Jack Frost cameo appearance. And is Jack Frost, is he like from Shin Megami Tensei?
So he's like the mascot. He was like an Atlas mascot, so he shows up in nearly every game. So
and a lot of people saying that he was going to appear in Smash alongside the Persona character, and that's kind of seemed like a bit of insult to injury because Jack was nowhere to be found. But either way. But anyway, in case you fans didn't have your fill of Shin Megami Tensei, Nintendo shortly after announced a brand new. I believe 5 is like this is a brand new entry in the series, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a brand new entry, but it got announced like like 2 years ago. So we haven't heard anything about it apart from the one trailer they showed.
Oh wow. Yeah, but that was Shin Megami Tensei 5, which was shortly announced after the Shin Megami Tensei 3 remake. Or remaster, I should say. But yeah, once again, I apologize. I know next to nothing about the series, but fans were eagerly anticipating the 5th one, extra news. So I can imagine pretty much all of the likes from that showcase must have been from the Shin Megami Tensei fans. Because if you go back to that video and look at the like to dislike ratio, or even the comments, I can tell you it's not a nice place to be in. It's kind of like a battlefield at the moment. So a lot of disappointed fans for this mini direct, but again, I can imagine Shin Megami Tensei fans were pretty pleased with not only that remaster, but also a brand new entry in the series. So that must have been good for them to hear. Me personally, the direct overall, I mean, I went in with very low expectations since Nintendo did tweet us a bit of a warning beforehand, saying that it was just going to be a third-party thing of like not brand new games. I mean, I guess they kind of did lie with the Shin Megami Tensei being a brand new game, but they pretty much did warn us and say don't get too hyped for anything because it's not going to be very long. It's only going to be 10 minutes, but. Yeah, I guess Cadence of Hyrule was my real highlight because it's the only, like, the Zelda series is the only thing that I'm familiar with out of all of these here. How about you, TakuStar, personally? Did this one?
I walked away feeling, I was happy they showed I've always wanted to play Shin Megami Tensei 3, so that's good that's coming out. I've always just looked at videos of it on the internet. I wanted to play it, so it's good that they're bringing it out for the Switch remake and stuff. So that'll be interesting. For when it comes out. And obviously with 5, I've been waiting for news on 5 since they've been developing it on the Unreal Engine. So it'd be interesting to see how the Unreal Engine looks, or the Shin Megami Tensei in Unreal Engine looks on the Nintendo Switch. And I know a lot of fans are going to be salty, like, why can't Shin Megami Tensei come out on the PlayStation? But the last couple of Shin Megami Tensei games, they've come out on the 3DS, so I feel like going forward, a lot of the Shin Megami Tensei games will be coming out on the Switch or Nintendo
platforms. Yeah, just Nintendo platforms in general. And yeah, it does seem like Switch is going to be the one that they'll be supporting the most going forward. So yeah. But no, interesting actually. Again, I'm not a huge RPG type guy, but I mean, maybe this will be my start in the Shin Megami Tensei series. I'm not entirely sure, but it does look quite interesting, and fans always speak highly of it, so that's always something good, or it's always a positive impression for me. But anyway, I think that about wraps it up. I mean, I can't see anything else to talk about. I mean, Nintendo haven't had any huge announcements, but I think that wraps it out nicely. And I pulled another Rockstar this episode and tried to squeeze every last bit of information out that I could to talk about. So yeah. So anyway, I don't know if you want to add anything else, TakuStar, or
yeah. So
oh yeah.
Actually, no, I don't have anything to add in. Actually, I thought I would have created my Twitter, but I haven't yet. So
right, okay then. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, next time in the future it will be here soon. Your TakuStar Twitter official Twitter page will be with us shortly. But anyway, thanks as always, guys, for watching our weekly podcast zone. If you enjoyed watching this, then just be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and of course you can hit that bell just to be notified of when we next upload it. And until next time, guys, thanks again, and I'll see you later. Peace out.